Good evening and welcome once again to Drunk Shakespeare. We are very happy to be putting on Richard III tonight, guest directed by our very own Laura Coccimiglio, and very happy to have this beautiful cast assembled for what I know will be a fantastic show, flavored with a little Rocky Horror Picture Show on top of that. So without no more ado, please enjoy Richard III.
Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this sun of York, and all the clouds that lowered upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. Now are our brows bound with victorious wreaths, our bruised arms hung up for monuments, our stern alarms changed to merry meetings, our dreadful marches to delightful measures. Grim-visaged war has smoothed his wrinkled front, and now, instead of mounting barbed steeds to fright the souls of fearful adversaries, he capers nimbly in a lady's chamber to the lascivious pleasing of a lute. But I, that am not shaped for sportive tricks, nor made to court an amorous looking-glass. I, that am rudely stamped, and want love's majesty to strut before a wanton ambling length. I, that am curtailed of this fair proportion, cheated of feature by dissembling nature, deformed, unfinished, sent before my time into this breathing world scarce half made up, and that so lamely and unfashionable that dogs bark at me as I halt at them. Why, I, in this weak piping time of peace, have no delight to pass away the time, unless to see my shadow in the sun, and descant on mine own deformity. And therefore, since I cannot prove a lover, to entertain these fair, well-spoken days, I am determined to prove a villain, and hate the idle pleasures of these days. Plots I have laid, inductions dangerous by drunken prophecies, liables and dreams, to set my brother Clarence and the king in deadly hate, the one against the other. And if King Edward be as true and just as I am subtle, false, and treacherous, this day should Clarence closely be mewed up about a prophecy which says that G, of Edward's heirs, the murderer, shall be... Dive thoughts down to my soul. Here Clarence comes. Brother, good day. What means this armed guard that waits upon your grace?
His Majesty, tendering my person's safety, hath appointed this conduct to convey me to the Tower.
Upon what cause?
Because my name is George.
Oh, alack, my lord, that fault is none of yours. He should for that commit your godfathers. Oh, belike his Majesty hath some intent that you should be new christened to the Tower. But what's the matter, Clarence, may I know?
Yes, Richard, when I know, for I protest as yet I do not. But as I can learn, he hearkens after prophecies and dreams, and from the crossrow plucks the letter G, and says a wizard told him that by G his issue disinherited should be. And for my name of George begins with G, it follows in his thought that I am he. These, as I learn, and such like toys of these, hath moved his highness to commit me now.
Why, this it is, when men are ruled by women. 'Tis not the king that sends you to the Tower. My Lady Grey, his wife, Clarence, 'tis she that tempers him to this extremity. Was it not she, and that good man of worship, Anthony Woodville, her brother there, that made them send Lord Hastings to the Tower, from whence this present day he is delivered? We are not safe, Clarence. We are not safe.
By heaven, I think there is no man secure but the Queen's kindred and night-walking heralds that trudge betwixt the king and mistress shore. Heard you not what a humble suppliant Lord Hastings was to her for his delivery?
Humbly complaining to her deity, got my Lord Chamberlain his liberty. I'll tell you what. I think it is our way, if we will keep in favour with the king, to be her men and wear her livery. A jealous o'erworn widow and herself, since that our brother dubbed them gentlewomen, are mighty gossips in our monarchy.
I beseech your graces both to pardon me. His Majesty hath saintly given in charge that no man shall have private conference of what degree soever with your brother.
Even so. And please your worship, Brackenbury, you may partake of anything we say. We speak no treason, man. We say the king is wise and virtuous, and his noble queen well struck in years, fair and not jealous. We say that Shaw's wife hath a pretty foot and a cherry lip and a bonny eye and a passing pleasing tongue, and that the queen's kindred are made gentlefolks. How say you, sir? Can you deny all this?
With this, my lord, myself had naught to do.
Naught to do with Mistress Shaw? I tell thee, fellow, he that doth naught with her excepting one were best to do it secretly, alone.
Do beseech your grace to pardon me, and withal forbear your conference with the noble duke.
We know thy charge, Brackenbury, and will obey.
We are the queen's abjects, and must obey. Brother, farewell. I will and tell the king, and whatsoe'er you will employ me in, were it to call King Edward's widow sister, I will perform it to enfranchise you. Meantime, this deep disgrace in brotherhood touches me deeper than you can imagine.
I know it pleaseth neither of us well.
Well, your imprisonment shall not be long. I will deliver you, or else lie for you. Meantime, have patience.
I must perforce. Farewell.
Go tread the path that thou shalt there return. Simple, plain, Clarence, I do love thee so, that I will shortly send thy soul to heaven, if heaven will take the present at our hands. Ah, but who comes here? The new delivered Hastings.
Good time of the day unto my gracious lord.
As much unto my good Lord Chamberlain. Well, are you welcome to the open air? How has your lordship brooked imprisonment?
With patience, noble lord, as prisoners must. But I shall live, my lord, to give them thanks that were the cause of my imprisonment.
No doubt, no doubt, and so shall Clarence too, for they that were your enemies are his, and have prevailed as much on him as you.
More pity that the eagles should be mewed, whilst kites and buzzards prey at liberty.
What news aboard?
No news so bad abroad as this at home. The king is sickly, weak, and melancholy, and his physicians fear him mightily.
No, by St. John, that news is bad indeed. Oh, he hath kept an evil diet long, and overmuch consumed his royal person. 'Tis very grievous to be thought upon. Where is he? In his bed?
He is.
Go you before, and I will follow you. He cannot live, I hope, and must not die till George be packed with post-horse up to heaven. I'll interurge his hatred more to Clarence with lies, well-steeled and weighty arguments. And if I fail not in my deep intent, Clarence hath not another day to live. Which done, God take King Edward to his mercy, and leave the world for me to bustle in. For then I'll marry Warwick's youngest daughter. What, though I killed her husband and her father? The readiest way to make a wench amends is to become her husband and her father, the which will I, not all so much for love, as for another secret close intent, by marrying her which I must reach unto. But yet I run before my horse to market. Clarence still breathes, Edward still lives, and reigns. When they are gone, then must I count my gains.
Sit down. Set down your honorable load, if honor may be shrouded in a hearse, whilst I awhile obsequiously lament the untimely fall of virtuous Lancaster. Poor king, cold figure of a holy king. Pale ashes of the house of Lancaster, thou bloodless remnant of that royal blood. Be it lawful that I invocate thy ghost to hear the lamentations of poor Anne, wife to thy Edward, to thy slaughtered son, stabbed by the selfsame hand that made these wounds. Lo, in these windows that let forth thy life, I pour the helpless balm of my poor eyes. Oh, cursed be the hand that made these holes. Cursed the heart that had the heart to do it. Cursed the blood that let this blood from hence. More direful hath betide that hated wretch that makes us wretched by the death of thee, than I can wish to wolves, to spiders, toads, or any creeping venom thing that lives. If ever he have child, abortive be it, prodigious and untimely brought to light, whose ugly and unnatural aspect may fright the hopeful mother at the view, and that be heir to his unhappiness. Oh, if ever he have wife, let her be made more miserable by the death of him than I am made by my young lord and thee. Come, now to our church with your holy load taken from Paul's to be interred there. And still, as you're weary of this way, rest you, whilst I lament King Henry's course.
Stay, you that bear the course, and set it down.
What black magician conjures up this fiend to stop devoted charitable deeds?
Villain, set down the course, or by St. Paul I'll make a course of him that disobeys. Unmannered dog, stand thou when I command. Advance thy halberd higher than my breast, or by St. Paul I'll strike thee to my foot, and spurn upon thee, beggar, for thy boldness.
What? Do you tremble? Are you all afraid? Alas, I blame you not, for your mortal and mortal eyes cannot endure the devil. Vaughn, thou dreadful minister of hell, thou hadst but power over his mortal body, his soul thou canst not have. Therefore be gone.
Sweet chaint, for charity, be not so cursed.
Foul devil, for God's sake, hence, and trouble us not. For thou hast made the happy earth thy hell, filled it with cursing cries and deep exclaims. If thou delight to view thy heinous deed, behold this pattern of thy butcheries. Oh, gentlemen, see, dead Henry's wounds open their congealed mouths and bleed afresh. Blush, thou lump of foul deformity, for 'tis thy presence that exhales this blood from cold and empty veins where no blood dwells. Thy deeds, inhuman and unnatural, provoke this deluge most unnatural. Oh God, which this blood maids revenge his death. O earth, which this blood drinks, revenge his death. Either heaven with lightning strike the murderer dead, or earth gape hope wide and eat him quick, as thou dost swallow up this good king's blood, which his hell-governed arm hath butchered.
Lady, you know no rules of charity which renders good for bad, blessings for curse.
Villain, thou knowest nor law of God nor man, no beast so fierce, but know some touch of pity.
But I know none, and therefore am no beast.
Wonderful when devils tell the truth.
More wonderful when angels are so angry. Vouchsafe, divine perfection of a woman, of these supposed crimes to give me leave by circumstance to acquit myself.
Vouchsafe, diffused infection of a man, of these known evils, but to give me leave by circumstance to curse thy cursed self.
Fairer than tongue can name thee. Let me have some leisure to excuse myself.
Fouler than heart can think thee, thou canst make no excuse current, but to hang thyself.
By such despair I should accuse myself.
And by despairing shalt thou stand excused for doing worthy vengeance on thyself that didst unworthy slaughter upon others.
Say I slew them not.
Then say they were not slain, but dead they are, and devilish slay by thee.
I did not kill your husband.
Why then he is alive.
Nay, he is dead and slain by Edward's hands.
In thy foul throat thou liest. Queen Margaret saw thy murderous falchion smoking in his blood, the which once thou didst bend against her breast, that thy brothers beat aside the point.
I was provoked by her slanderous tongue, and laid their guilt upon my guiltless shoulders.
Thou was provoked by thy bloody mind, that never dreamedst on aught but butcheries. Didst thou not kill this king?
I grant you.
Dost grant me, hedgehog? Then God grant me too, thou mayst be damned for this wicked deed. Oh, he was gentle, mild in virtue.
The better for the King of heaven that hath him.
He is in heaven, where thou shalt never come.
Let him thank me that hoped to send him thither, for he was fitter for that place than earth.
And thou unfit for any place but hell.
Yes, one place else, if you will hear me name it.
Some dungeon.
Your bedchamber.
Ill rest betide the chamber where thou liest.
So will it, madam, till I lie with you.
I hope so.
I know so. But, gentle Lady Anne, to leave this keen encounter of our wits and fall something into a slower method. Is not the causer of these timeless deaths, of these Plantagenets, Henry and Edward, as blameful as the executioner?
How was the cause and most accursed effect?
Your beauty was the cause of that effect. Your beauty that did haunt me in my sleep to undertake the death of all the world, so I might live 1 hour in your sweet bosom.
If I thought that, I tell thee, homicide, these nails should rend that beauty from my cheeks.
These eyes could not endure that beauty's rack. You should not blemish it if I stood by. As all the world is cheered by the sun, so I by that. It is my day, my life.
Black night o'ershade thy day, and death thy life.
Curse not thyself, fair creature, thou art both.
Oh, I would I were, to be revenged on thee.
Oh, 'tis a quarrel most unnatural to be revenged on him that loveth thee.
It is a quarrel just and reasonable to be revenged on him that killed my husband.
He that bereft thee, lady, of thy husband, did it to help thee to a better husband.
His better does not breathe upon the earth.
He lives that loves thee better than he could.
Name him.
Plantagenet.
Why, that was he.
Self-same name, but one of better nature.
And where is he?
Here. Why dost thou spit at me?
Would it were mortal poison for thy sake.
Never came poison from so sweet a place.
Never hung poison on a fouler toad.
Oh.
Out of my sight, thou dost infect mine eyes.
Thine eyes, sweet lady, have infected mine.
Would they were basilisks to strike thee dead.
I would they were, that I might die at once, for now they kill me with a living death. Those eyes of thine from mine have drawn salt tears, shamed their aspects of sore of childish drops. These eyes, which never shed remorseful tear, know when my father York and Edward wept to hear the piteous moan that Rutland made, when black-faced Clifford shook his sword at him, nor when thy warlike father, like a child, told the sad story of my father's death, and 20 times made pause to sob and weep, that all the standers by had wet their cheeks like trees bedashed with rain. In that sad time my manly eyes did scorn and humble tear, and what these sorrows could not thence exhale. Thy beauty hath, and made them blind with weeping. I never sued to friend or enemy. My tongue could never learn smoothing word. But now thy beauty is proposed my fee, my proud heart sues, and prompts my tongue to speak. Teach not thy lips such scorn, for it was made for kissing, lady, not for such contempt. If thy revengeful heart cannot forgive, lo, here I lend thee this sharp-pointed sword, which if thou please to hide in this true breast, and let the soul forth that adoreth thee, I lay it naked to the deadly stroke, and humbly beg the death upon thy knee. Do not pause, for I did kill King Henry, but 'twas thy beauty that provoked me. Nay, now dispatch. 'Twas I that stabbed young Edward, but 'twas thy heavenly face that set me on. take up the sword again, or take up me.
Arise, dissembler. Though I wish thy death, I will not be thy executioner.
Then bid me kill myself, and I will do it.
I have already.
That was in thy rage. Speak it again, and even with the word, this hand, which for thy love did kill thy love, shall for thy love kill a more far truer love. To both their deaths shalt thou be accessory.
Oh, would I knew thy heart.
'Tis figured in my tongue.
I fear me both are false.
There never was man true.
Well, well. Put up your sword.
Say then, my peace is made.
That shalt thou know hereafter.
But shall I live in hope?
All men, I hope, live so.
Vouchsafe to wear this ring.
To take is not to give.
Look, how my ring encompasseth thy finger. Even so thy breast encloseth my poor heart. Wear both of them, for both of them are thine, and if thy poor devoted servant may but beg one favour at thy gracious hand, thou dost confirm his happiness forever.
What is it?
That it may please you leave these sad designs to him that hath most cause to be a mourner, and presently repair to Crosby House, where, after I have solemnly interred at Chertsey Monastery this noble king, and wet his grave with my repentant tears, I will with all expedient duty see you. For divers unknown reasons, I beseech you grant me this boon.
With all my heart. And much it joys me too to see you are become so penitent.
Bid me farewell.
'Tis more than you deserve. But since you teach me how to flatter you, imagine I've said farewell already.
Towards Chertsey, noble lord.
No, to Whitefriars. There attend my coming. Was ever woman in this humour wooed? Was ever woman in this humour won? I'll have her, but I will not keep her long. What? That I killed her husband and his father to take her in her heart's extremest hate, with curses in her mouth, tears in her eyes, the bleeding witness of my hatred by, having God, her conscience, and these bars against me, and I no friends at all to back my suit at all, but the plain devil and dissembling looks. And yet to win her, all the world to nothing. Hath she forgot already that brave prince, Edward her lord, whom I some months since stabbed in my angry mood at Tewkesbury, a sweeter and a lovelier gentleman framed in the prodigality of nature, young, valiant, wise, and no doubt right royal, a spacious world cannot again afford? And will she yet abase her eyes on me, that cropped the golden prime of this sweet prince, and made her widow to a woeful bed? On me, whose all not equals Edward's moiety? On me, that halts and am misshapen thus? My dukedom to a beggarly denier, I do mistake my person all this while. Upon my life she finds, although I cannot, myself to be a marvellous proper man. Albeit charges full a looking glass, and entertain a score or two of tailors, to study fashions to adorn my body. Since I am crept in favour with myself, I will maintain it with some little cost. But first I'll turn yon fellow in his grave, and then return, lamenting, to my love. Shine out, fair sun, till I have bought a glass, that I may see my shadow as I pass.
Have patience, madam. There's no doubt his majesty will soon recover his accustomed health.
In that you broke it ill, it makes him worse. Therefore, for God's sake, entertain good comfort and cheer his grace with quick and merry eyes.
If he were dead, what would betide on me?
No other harm but loss of such a lord.
The loss of such a lord includes all harms.
The heavens have blessed you with a goodly son to be your comforter when he is gone.
Oh, he is young, and his minority is put into the trust of Richard Gloucester, a man that loves not me nor none of you.
Is it concluded that he shall be protector?
It is determined, not concluded yet. But so it must be if the king miscarry.
Here comes the Lord of Buckingham and Derby.
Good time of day unto your royal grace.
God make your majesty joyful as you have been.
The Countess Richmond, good my Lord of Derby, to your good prayer will scarcely say amen. Yet Derby, notwithstanding, she's your wife and loves not me. Be you, good lord, assured I hate not you for her proud arrogance.
I do beseech you either not believe the envious slanders of her false accusers, or, if she be accused on true report, bear with her weakness, which I think proceeds from wayward sickness and no grounded malice.
Saw you the king today, my lord of Derby?
But now the Duke of Buckingham and I are come from visiting his majesty.
What likelihood of his amendment, lords?
Madam, good hope. His grace speaks cheerfully.
God grant him health. Did you confer with him?
Aye, madam. He desires to make atonement between the Duke of Gloucester and your brothers, and between them and my Lord Chamberlain, and sent to warn them to his royal presence.
Oh, would all were well. But that will never be. I fear our happiness is at the height.
They do me wrong, and I will not endure it. Who is it that complains unto the king, that I, forsooth, am stern, and love them not? By holy Paul, they love his grace but lightly, that fills his tears with such dissentious rumour. Because I cannot flatter and look fair, smile in men's faces, smooth, deceive, and cog, duck with French nods and apish courtesy, I must be held a rancorous enemy. Cannot a plain man live and think no harm, but thus his simple truth must be abused with silken, sly, insinuating jacks?
To who in all this presence speaks your grace?
To thee. Thou hast nor honesty nor grace. When have I injured thee? When done thee wrong? Or thee? Or thee? Or any of your faction? A plague upon you all! His Royal Grace, whom God preserve better than you would wish, cannot be quite scarce a breathing while, but you must be troubling him with lewd complaints.
Brother of Gloucester, you mistake the matter. The king, on his own royal disposition, and not provoked by any suitor else, I mean, belike at your interior hatred that in your outward action shows itself against my children, brothers, and myself, makes him to send that he may learn the ground.
I cannot tell. The world is grown so bad that wrens are prey when eagles dare not perch. Since every Jack became a gentleman, there's many a gentle person made a Jack.
Oh, come, we know your meaning, Brother Gloucester. You envy my advancement and my friends. God grant we never may have need of you.
Meantime, God grants that we have need of you. Our brother is imprisoned by your means, myself disgraced, and the nobility held in contempt. Our great promotions are daily given to ennoble those that scarce 2 days since were worth a noble.
By him that raised me to this careful height from that contempted hat which I enjoyed, I never did intense his majesty against the Duke of Clarence, but have been an earnest advocate to plead for him. My lord, you do me shameful injury falsely to draw me in these vile suspects.
You may deny that you were not the mean of Lord Hastings' late imprisonment.
She may, my lord, for she...
She may, Lord Rivers. Why, who knows not so? She may do more, sir, than denying that. She may help you to many fair preferments, and then deny her aiding hand therein, and lay those honours on your high desert. What may she not? She may. Aye, marry, may she?
What? Marry? May she?
What? Marry? May she? Marry with a king, and bachelor, and a handsome stripling tongue. I wis your grandam had a worser match.
My lord of Gloucester, I have too long borne your blunt upbraidings and your bitter scoffs. By heaven, I will acquaint his majesty of these gross taunts that oft I have endured. I had rather be a country servant maid than a great queen with this condition, to be so baited, scorned, and stormed at. Small joy have I in being England's queen.
Unless it be that small, God, I beseech him, thy honour, state, and seat is due to me.
What? Threat you me with telling of the king? Tell him, spare not. Look, what I have said I will avouch in presence of the king. I dare adventure to be sent to the Tower. 'Tis time to speak. My pains are quite forgot.
Devil, I do remember them too well. Thou killedst my husband Henry in the Tower, and Edward my poor son at Tewkesbury.
Ere you were queen, I, or your husband king, I was a pack-horse in his great affairs, a weeder out of his proud adversaries, a liberal rewarder of his friends. To royalize his blood, I spent mine own.
Aye, and much better blood than his or thine.
In all which time you and your husband Grey were factious for the house of Lancaster. And Rivers, so were you. Was not your husband in Margaret's battle at St. Albans slain? Let me put it in your minds, if you forget what you have been ere this and what you are, withal what I have been and what I am.
A murderous villain, and so still thou art.
Poor Clarence did forsake his father Warwick, aye, and forswore himself, which, gees you pardon,
Which God revenge,
to fight on Edward's party for the crown. And for his meed, poor lord, he is mewed up. I would to God my heart were flint, like Edward's, or Edward's soft and pitiful, like mine. I am too childish, foolish for this world.
Oh, hie thee to hell for shame, and leave this world, thou cocodemon. There thy kingdom is.
My lord of Gloucester, in those busy days which here you urge to prove us enemies, we followed then our lord. our sovereign king. So should we you, if you should be our king.
If I should be, I had rather be a peddler. Far be it from my heart, the thought thereof.
As little joy, my lord, as you suppose you should enjoy were you this country's king. As little joy you may suppose in me that I enjoy being the queen thereof.
As little joy enjoys the queen thereof, for I am she, and altogether joyless. I can no longer hold me patient. Hear me, you wrangling pirates, that fall out in sharing that which you have pilled from me. Ha! Which of you trembles not that looks on me? If not that I am queen, you bow like subjects, yet that by you deposed, you quake like rebels. Ah, gentle villain, do not turn away.
Foul wrinkled witch, what makest thou in my sight?
But repetition of what thou hast marred, that will I make before I let thee go.
Wert thou not banished on pain of death?
I was, but I do find more pain in banishment than death can yield me here by my abode. A husband and a son thou owest me, and thou a kingdom, all of you, allegiance. This sorrow that I have by right is yours, and all the pleasures that you usurp are mine.
The curse my noble father laid on thee, when thou didst crown his warlike brows with paper, and with thy scorns drewst rivers from his eyes, and then, to dry them, gavest the Duke a clout steeped in the faultless blood of pretty Rutland. His curses then, from bitterness of soul, denounced against thee, are all fallen upon thee, and God, not we, hath plagued thy bloody deed.
Just is God to right the innocent.
Oh, 'twas the foulest deed to slay that babe, and the most merciless that e'er was heard of.
Tyrants themselves wept when it was reported.
No man but prophesied revenge for it.
Northumberland, then present, wept to see it.
What? Were you snarling all before I came, ready to catch each other by the throat and turn all your hatred now on me? Did York's dread curse prevail so much with heaven that Henry's death, my lovely Edward's death, their kingdom's loss, my woeful banishment, should all but answer for that peevish brat? Can curses pierce the clouds and enter heaven? Why then give way, dull clouds, for my quick curses. Though not by war, by surfeit die your king, is ours by murder to make him the king. Edward, thy son, that now is Prince of Wales, for Edward, our son, who was Prince of Wales, die in his youth by like untimely violence. And thyself a queen, for me that was a queen, outlive thy glory like my wretched self. Long mayest thou live to wail thy children's death, and see another, as I see thee now, decked in thy rights, as thou art stalled in mine. Long die thy happy days before thy death, and after many lengthened hours of grief, die neither mother, wife, nor England's queen. Rivers and Dorset, you were standers by, and so wast thou, Lord Hastings, when my son was stabbed with bloody daggers. God, I pray him that none of you live his natural age, and but by some unlooked accident cut off.
Have done thy charm, thou hateful withered hag.
And leave out thee? Stay, dog, for thou shalt hear me. If heaven have any grievous plague in store, exceeding those that I can wish upon thee, let them keep it till thy sins be ripe, and then hurl down their indignation on thee, the troubler of the poor world's peace. The worm of conscience still begnaw thy soul. Thy friends suspect for traitors while thou livest, and take deep traitors for thy dearest friends. And no sleep close up that deadly eye of thine, unless it be while some tormenting dream affrights thee with a hell of ugly devils. Thou elvish-marked, abortive, rooting hog, thou that wast sealed in thy nativity, the slave of nature and the son of hell, thou slander of thy heavy mother's womb, thou loathed issue of thy father's loins, thou rag of honor, thou detested
Margaret.
Richard.
Huh?
I call thee not.
Oh, I cried thee mercy then, for I did think that thou hadst called me all these bitter names.
Why, so I did, but I looked for no reply. Oh, let me make the period to my curse.
Oh, 'tis done by me, and ends in Margaret.
Thus have you breached your curse against yourself.
Oh, poor painted queen, vain flourish of my fortune. Why strewest thou sugar on that bottled spider, whose deadly web ensnareth thee about? Oh, fool, fool! Thou wouldest a knife to kill thyself. Oh, the day will come when thou shalt wish for me to help thee curse this poisonous bunch-backed toad.
False-boding woman, and thy frantic curse, lest to thy harm thou move our patience.
No, foul shame upon you. You have all moved mine.
Were you well served, you would be taught your duty.
To serve me well, you should all do me duty. Teach me to be your queen, and you my subjects. Oh, serve me well, and teach yourselves that duty.
Dispute not with her, she is a lunatic.
Peace, Master Marquess, you are malapert. Your fire new stamp of honor scarce current. Oh, that your young nobility could judge what 'twere to lose it and be miserable. They that stand high have many blasts to shake them, and if they fall, they dash themselves to pieces.
Good counsel, Mary. Learn it, Marquis.
It touches you, my lord, as much as me.
Aye, and much more. But I was born so high. Our eyrie buildeth in the cedar's top, and dull is with the wind, and scorns the sun.
And turns the sun to shade. Alas. Alas. Witness my son, now in the shade of death, whose bright, outshining beams thy cloudy wrath hath in eternal darkness folded up. Your eyrie buildeth in our eyrie's nest. O God, that seest it, do not suffer it. As it is one with blood, loft be it so.
Peace, peace. For shame, if not for charity.
Urge neither charity nor shame to me. Uncharitably with me have you dealt, and shamefully my hopes by you are butchered. My charity is outrage. Life my shame. and in that shame still live my sorrow's rage.
Have done. Have done.
Princely Buckingham, I'll kiss thy hand in sign of league and amity with thee. Now fair befall thee and thy noble house. Thy garments are not spotted with our blood, nor thou within the compass of my curse.
Nor no one here, for curses never pass the lips of those that breathe them in the air.
I will not think, but they ascend the sky. And there awake God's gentle, sleeping peace. Oh, Buckingham, take heed of yonder dog. Look, when he fawns, he bites. And when he bites, his venom tooth will rankle to the death. Have naught to do with him. Beware of him. Sin, death, and hell hath set their marks on him, and all their ministers that attend him.
What does she say, my lord of Buckingham?
Nothing that I respect, my gracious lord.
What? Dost thou scorn me for my gentle counsel, and soothe the devil that I warn thee from? Oh, but remember this another day, when he shall split thy very heart with sorrow, and say, poor Margaret is a prophetess. Live each of you the subjects to his hate, and he to yours, and all of you to God's.
My hair doth stand an end to hear her curses.
And so doth mine. I muse why she's at liberty.
I cannot blame her. By God's holy mother, she hath had too much wrong, and I repent my part thereof, that I have done to her.
I never did her any, to my knowledge.
Yet you have all the vantage of her wrong. I was hot to do somebody good, and that is too cold in thinking of it now. Marry, as for Clarence, he is well repaid. He is franked up to the fatting for his pains. God pardon them that are the cause thereof.
A virtuous and a Christian-like conclusion to pray for them that hath done scathe to us.
So do I ever, being well advised, for had I cursed, now I had cursed myself.
Madam, His Majesty doth call for you, and for your grace, and yours, my gracious lords.
Catesby, I come. Lords, will you go with me?
We wait upon your grace.
I do the wrong, and first begin to brawl. The secret mischiefs that I set abroach, I lay unto the grievous charge of others. Clarence, who I indeed have cast in darkness, I do beweep to many simple gulls, namely to Derby, Hastings, Buckingham, and tell them 'tis the Queen and her allies that stir the King against the Duke my brother. Now they believe it, and withal wet me to be revenged on rivers Dorset grey. But then I sigh, and with a piece of scripture tell them that God bids us do good for evil. And thus I clothe my naked villainy with odd old ends stolen forth of holy writ, and seem a saint when I most play the devil. Oh, but soft, here come my executioners. How now, my hardy, stout, resolved mates? Are you now going to dispatch this thing?
We are, my lord, and come to have the warrant that we may be admitted where he is.
Well thought upon, I have it here about me. When you have done, repair to Crosby Place. But, sirs, be sudden in the execution, with all obdurate. Do not hear him plead, for Clarence is well spoken, and perhaps may move your hearts to pity if you mark him.
Hush, fear not, my lord, we will not stand to prate. Talkers are no good doers, be assured. We come to use our hands and not our tongues.
Your eyes drop millstones. When fools' eyes fall tears. I like you, lasses. About your business straight. Go, dispatch.
We will, my noble lord.
My looks your grace so heavily today.
I've passed a miserable night, so full of fearful dreams, of ugly sights, that as I am a Christian faithful man, I would not spend another such a night, though 'twere to buy a world of happy days. So full of dismal terror was this time.
What was your dream, my lord? I pray you tell me.
Methoughts that I'd broken from the tower, and was embarked across to Burgundy, and in my company my brother Gloucester, who from my cabin tempted me to walk upon the hatches. Thence we looked toward England, sighted up 1,000 heavy times during the wars of York and Lancaster that had befallen us. As we paced along upon the giddy footing of the hatches, methought that Gloucester stumbled, and in falling struck me that thought to stay him overboard into the tumbling billows of the main. Oh Lord, methought what pain it was to drown, what dreadful noise of water in my ears. Methought I saw 1,000 fearful wrecks, 1,000 men that fishes gnawed upon, wedges of gold, great anchors, heaps of pearls, inestimable stones, unvalued jewels, all scattered in the bottom of the sea. Some lay in dead men's skulls, and in the holes where eyes did once inhabit, there were crept, as 'twere in scorn of eyes, reflecting gems that wooed the slimy bottom of the deep and mocked the dead bones that lay scattered by.
Had you such leisure in the time of death to gaze upon these secrets of the deep?
Methought I had, and often did I strive to yield the ghost, but still the envious flood stopped in my soul and would not let it forth to find the empty vast and wandering air, but smothered it within my panting bulk, who almost burst to belch it in the sea.
Awaken you not in this sore agony?
No, my dream was lengthened after life. Oh, then began the tempest of my soul. I passed, methought, the melancholy flood with that sour ferryman which poets write of, unto the kingdom of perpetual night. The first that there did greet my stranger soul was my great father-in-law, renowned Warwick, who spake aloud, "What scourge for perjury can this dark monarchy afford false Clarence?" And so he vanished. Then came wandering by a shadow like an angel with bright hair dabbled in blood, and he shrieked aloud, "Clarence is come, false, fleeting, perjured Clarence that stabbed me in the field by Tewkesbury. Seize on him, furies, take him under torment." With that methought a liege of foul fiends environed me and howled in my ears such hideous cries that with the very noise I trembling waked, and for a season after could not believe but that I was in hell. Such terrible impression made my dream.
No marvel, Lord, though it affrighted you. I am afraid, methinks, to hear you tell it.
Oh, keeper, I have done these things that now give evidence against my soul. For Edward's sake, and see how he requites me. Oh God, if my deep prayers cannot appease thee, but thou wilt be avenged on my misdeeds, yet execute thy wrath on me alone. Oh, spare my guiltless wife and my poor children. Keeper, I prithee sit by me a while. My soul is heavy, and I fain would sleep.
I will, my lord. God give your grace good rest. Sorrow breaks seasons, and reposing hours makes the night morning, the noontide night. Princes have but their titles for their glories, and outward honor for an inward toil, and for unfelt imaginations they often feel a world of restless cares, so that between their titles and low name there's nothing differs but that outward fame.
Oh, who's here?
What wouldst thou, fellow, and how camest thou hither?
I would speak with Clarence, and I came hither on my legs.
What's so brief?
Oh, sir, it is better to be brief than tedious. Show him our commission and talk no more.
I am in the commanded to deliver the noble Duke of Clarence to your hands. I will not reason what is meant hereby, because I will be guileless from the beginning. There lies the Duke asleep, and there the keys. I'll go to the king and signify to him that thus I have resigned to you my charge.
Do so. It is a point of wisdom. Fare you well.
What, shall I stab him as he sleeps?
No. Then he will say 'twas does cowardly when he wakes.
Why, he shall never wake until the great judgment day.
Why, then he will say we stabbed him sleeping.
The urging of that word judgment hath bred a kind of remorse in me.
What? Art thou afraid?
Not to kill him, having a warrant, but to be damned for killing him, from which, the which no warrant can defend me.
I thought thou hadst been resolute.
Well, so I am, to let him live.
Back to the Duke of Gloucester. Tell him so.
Nay, I prithee, stay a little. I hope this passionate humor of mine will change. It won't to hold me, but while one tells 20.
How dost thou feel thyself now?
Faith, some certain dregs of conscience are yet within me.
Remember our reward when the deed is done?
Sounds he dies? I had forgot the reward.
Where is thy conscience now?
Oh, in the Duke of Gloucester's purse.
So when he opens his purse to give us our reward, thy conscience flies out.
'Tis no matter. Let it go. There's few of none will entertain it.
How if it come to thee again?
I'll not meddle with it. It makes a man a coward. A man cannot steal, but it accuseth him. A man cannot swear, but it checks him. A man cannot lie with his neighbor's wife, but it detects him. 'Tis a blushing, shamefaced spirit that mutinies in a man's bosom. It fills a man full of obstacles. It makes me once restored a purse of gold that by chance I found. It beggars any man that keeps it. It is turned out of towns and cities for dangerous thing, and every man that means to live well endeavors to trust to him and live without it.
Oh, zoons, it is even now at my elbow, persuading me not to kill the Duke.
Take the devil in thy mind, and believe him not. He will insinuate with thee, but to make thee sigh.
Tut, I am strong-framed. He cannot prevail with me, I warrant thee.
Spoke like a tall man that respects thy reputation. Come, shall we fall to work?
Take him over the custard with the hilts of thy sword, and then we will chop him in the malmsey butt in the next room.
Excellent device. And make a sup of him.
Hark! He stirs. Shall I strike?
Strike.
Where art thou, keeper? Give me a cup of wine.
You shall have wine enough, my lord, anon.
In God's name, what art thou?
A man, as you are.
but not as I am royal.
Nor you, as we are, loyal.
Thy voice is thunder, but thy looks are humble.
My voice is now the king's, my looks mine own.
How darkly and how deadly dost thou speak? Your eyes do menace me. Why look you pale? Who sent you hither? Wherefore do you come?
To
murder me?
I.
You scarcely have the hearts to tell me so, and therefore cannot have the hearts to do it. Wherein, my friends, have I offended you?
Offended us you have not, but the king.
I shall be reconciled to him again.
Never, my lord. Therefore, prepare to die.
Are you drawn forth among a world of wind to slay the innocent? What is my offense? What is the evidence that dost accuse me? What lawful quest have given the verdict up upon the frowning judge? Or who pronounced the bitter sentence of poor Clarence's death before I be convicted by course of law? To threaten me with death is most unlawful. I charge you, as you hope to have redemption by Christ's dear blood for our grievous sins, that you depart and lay no hands upon me. The deed you undertake is damnable.
What we will do, we do upon command.
And he that hath commanded is our king.
Erroneous vassals, the great King of kings hath in the table of his law commanded that thou shalt do no murder. Will you then spurn at his edict and fulfill a man's? Take heed, for he holds vengeance in his hand to hurl upon the heads that break his law.
And that same vengeance doth he hurl on thee, for swearing and for murder too. Thou didst receive the sacrament to fight and quarrel of the house of Lancaster.
And, like a traitor to the name of God, didst break that vow, and with thy treacherous blade unrippedst the bowels of thy sovereign son,
whom thou wast sworn to cherish and defend.
How canst thou urge God's dreadful law to us when thou hast broke it in so dear degree?
Less, for whose sake did I eat that ill deed? For Edward, for my brother, for his sake. He sends you not to murder me for this, for in that sin he is as deep as I. If God will be avenged for the deed, oh, know you yet he doth it publicly. Take not the quarrel from his powerful arm. He needs no indirect or lawless course to cut off those that have offended him.
Who made thee then a bloody minister when gallant springing brave Plantagenet, that princely novice, was struck dead by thee?
My brother's love, the devil and my rage.
Thy brother's love, our duty, and thy fault provoke us hither now to slaughter thee.
If you do love my brother, hate not me. I am his brother, and I do love him well. If you are hired from me, go back again, and I will send you to my brother Gloucester, who shall reward you better for my life than Edward for the tidings of my death.
You are deceived.
You are
Your
deceived.
brother Gloucester hates you.
No, he loves me, and he holds me dear. Go you to him from me.
Aye, so we will.
And tell him when that our princely father York blessed his 3 sons with his victorious army, he little thought of this divided friendship. Bid Gloucester think of this, and he will weep.
Aye, millstones, as he lessoned us to weep.
Do not slander him, for he is kind.
Right, as snow in harvest. Thou deceivest thyself. 'Tis he that sent us hither now to slaughter thee.
It cannot be, for he bewept my fortune and hugged me in his arms and swore with sobs that he would labor for my delivery.
Why, so he doth. He now delivers thee from this world's thraldom to the joys of heaven.
Make peace with God, for you must die, my lord.
Have you that holy feeling in your souls to counsel me to make my peace with God? And are you yet to your own souls so blind that you will war with God by murdering me? O sirs, consider they that set you on to do this deed will hate you for this deed.
What shall we do?
Relent and save your souls.
Relent!
Should you that were a prince's son, being pent from liberty as I am now, if two such murderers as yourselves came to you, would not entreat for life. Aye, you would beg, were you in my distress.
Relent? No. 'Tis cowardly and womanish.
Not to relent is beastly, savage, devilish. My friend, I spy some pity in thy looks. If thy eye is not a flatterer, come thou to my side and entreat from me a begging prince. What beggar pities not?
Look behind you, my lord.
Take that and that, and if all this will not do, I'll drown you in the Malmsey butt within.
A bloody deed and desperately dispatched. How fain like Pilate would I wash my hands of this most grievous murder.
How now? What mean'st thou that thou helpst me not? By heavens, the Duke shall know how slack thou art.
I would he knew that I have saved his brother. Take thou the fee and tell him what I say, for I repent me that the Duke is slain.
So do I not. Go, coward as thou art. Now must I hide his body in some hole until the Duke take order for his burial. And when I have my meed, I must away, for this will out, and here I must not stay.
Why so? Now have I done a good day's work. You peers continue this united league. I every day expect an embassage from my Redeemer to redeem me hence. The more in peace my soul shall part to heaven, since I have made my friends at peace on earth. Rivers and Hastings, take each other's hand. Dissemble not your hatred, swear your love.
By heaven, my soul is purged from grudging hate, and with my hand I seal my true heart's love.
So thrive I, as I truly swear the like.
Take heed you dally not before your king, lest he that is the supreme King of Kings confound your hidden falsehood and award either of you to be the other's end.
So prosper I, as I swear perfect love.
And I, as I love Hastings with my heart.
Madam, yourself is not exempt from this, nor you, son Dorset, Buckingham, nor you. You have been factious against one against the other. Wife, love Hastings, let him kiss your hand. And what you do, do it unfeignedly.
There, Hastings. I will never more remember our former hatred. So thrive I and mine.
Dorset, embrace him. Hastings, love Lord Marquess.
This interchange of love I here protest upon my part shall be inviolable.
So swear I.
Now, princely Buckingham, seal thou this league with thy embracements to my wife's allies, and make me happy in your unity.
Whenever Buckingham doth turn his hate upon your grace, but with all duteous love doth cherish you and yours, God punish me with hate in those where I expect most love. When I have most need to employ a friend, and most assured that he is a friend, deep, Hollow, treacherous, and full of guile, be he unto me. This do I beg of God, when I am cold in love to you or yours.
A pleasing cordial, princely Buckingham. Is this thy vow unto my sickly heart? Here wanteth now our brother Gloucester here. There wanteth now our brother Gloucester here to make the blessed period of this peace.
And in good time. Here comes Sir Richard Ratcliffe and the Duke.
Good morrow, my sovereign king and queen, and princely peers, a happy time of day.
Happy indeed, as we have spent the day. Gloucester, we have done deeds of charity, made peace of enmity, fair love of hate, between these swelling, wrong insensate peers.
Our blessed labour, my most sovereign lord. Among this princely heap, if any here by false intelligence or wrong surmise hold me a foe, if I, unwittingly, or in my rage, have aught committed that is hardly borne by any in this presence, I desire to reconcile me to his friendly peace. 'Tis death to me to be at enmity. I hate it, and desire all good men's love. First, madam, I entreat true peace of you, which I will purchase with my duteous service. Of you, my noble cousin Buckingham, if ever grudge were lodged between us, of you, and you, Lord Rivers, and of Dorset, that all without desert have frowned on me, of you, Lord Woodfull, and Lord Scales, of you, dukes, earls, lords, gentlemen, indeed of all, I do not know that Englishman alive with whom my soul is at any jot at odds more than an infant that is born tonight. I thank my God for my humility.
A holy day shall this be kept hereafter. I would to God all stripes were well compounded. My sovereign lord, I do beseech your highness to take our brother Clarence to your grace.
Why, madam, have I offered love for this, to be so flouted in this royal presence? Who knows not that the gentle duke is dead? You do him injury to scorn his course.
Who knows not he is dead? Who knows he is?
What a world is this?
Look I so pale, Lord Dorset, as the rest?
Ay, my good lord, and no man in the presence but his red colour hath forsook his cheeks.
Is Clarence dead? The order was reversed.
But he, poor man, by your first order died, and that a winged Mercury did bear. Some tardy cripple bare the countermand, that came too lag to see him buried. God grant that some less noble and less loyal, nearer in blood, thoughts, and not in blood, deserve not worse than Richard Clarence did, and yet go current from suspicion.
A boon, my sovereign, for my service done.
I prithee, peace. My soul is full of sorrow.
I will not rise until your highness hear me.
Then say at once what it is thou requests.
The forfeit, sovereign, of my servant's life, who slew today a riotous gentleman largely attendant on the Duke of Norfolk.
Have I a tongue to doom my brother's death, and shall that tongue give pardon to a slave? My brother killed no man. His fault was thought, and yet his punishment was bitter death. Who sued to me for him? Who, in my wrath, kneeled at my feet and bade me be advised? Who spoke of brotherhood? Who spoke of love? Who told me how the poor soul did forsake the mighty Warwick and did fight for me? Who told me in the field at Tewkesbury, when Oxford had me down, he rescued me and said, "Dear brother, live and be king"? Who told me, when we both lay in the field, frozen almost to death, how he did lap me even in his garments, and did give himself all thin and naked to the numb cold night? All this from my remembrance, brutish wrath sinfully plucked, and not a man of you had so much grace to put it in my mind. But when your carters or your waiting vassals have done a drunken slaughter and defaced the precious damage of our dear Redeemer, you are straight on your knees for pardon, pardon, and I, unjustly too, must grant it you. But for my brother not a man would speak, nor I, ungracious, speak unto myself for him. Poor soul, the proudest of you all have been beholding to him in his life, yet none of you would once beg for his life. O God, I fear thy justice will take hold on me and you and mine and yours for this. Come, Hastings, help me to my closet. Oh, poor Clarence.
This is the fruits of rashness. Marked you not how that guilty kindred of the Queen looked pale when they did hear of Clarence's death? Oh, they did urge it still unto the king. God will revenge it. Come, lords, will you go to comfort Edward with our company?
We wait upon your grace.
Good grandam, tell us, is our father dead?
No, boy.
Why do you weep so oft and beat your breast, and cry, "O Clarence, my unhappy son"?
Why do you look on us and shake your head? And call us orphans, wretches, castaways, if that our noble father were alive?
My pretty cousins, you mistake me both. I do lament the sickness of the king, as loath to lose him, not your father's death, that were lost sorrow to wail one that's lost.
Then you conclude, my grandam, he is dead. The king, mine uncle, is to blame for it. God will revenge it, whom I will importune with earnest prayers, all to that effect.
And so will I.
Peace, children, peace. The king doth love you well. Incapable and shallow innocence, you cannot guess who caused your father's death.
Grandam, we can. For my good uncle Gloucester told me the king provoked it by the queen, devised impeachments to imprison him. And when my uncle told me so, he wept and he pitied me. He kindly kissed my cheek, bade me rely on him as my father, and he would love me dearly as a child.
Oh, that deceit should steal such gentle shape. Oh, the virtuous visor hide deep vice. He is my son, I, and therein my shame. Yet from my dugs he drew not this deceit.
Think you my uncle did disassemble grandam?
Aye, boy.
I cannot think it. Hark! What noise is this?
Who shall hinder me to wail and weep, to chide my fortune and torment myself? I've joined with black despair against my soul, and to myself become an enemy.
What means the scene of rude impatience?
To make an act of tragic violence. Edward, my lord, thy son, our king, is dead. Why grow the branches when the root is gone? Why wither not the leaves that want their sap? If you will live, lament. If die, be brief. that our swift-winged souls may catch the king's, or like obedient subjects follow him to his new kingdom of ne'er-changing night.
So much interest I have in thy sorrow, as I had title in thy noble husband. I have bewept a worthy husband's death, and lived with looking on his images. But now 2 mirrors of his princely semblance are cracked in pieces by malignant death, and I for comfort have but one false glass that grieves me when I see shame in him. Thou art a widow, yet thou art a mother, and hast the comfort of thy children left. But death has snatched my husband from mine arms, and plucked 2 crutches from my feeble hands, Clarence and Edward. Oh, what cause have I, thine being but a moiety of my moan, to overthrow these woes and drown thy cries?
Aunt, you wept not for our father's death. How can we aid you with our kindred tears?
Our fatherless distress was left unmoaned. Your widow dolour likewise be unwept.
Give me no help in lamentation. I am not barren to bring forth complaints. Springs reduce their current to mine eyes, that I, being governed by the watery moon, may send forth plenteous tears to drown the world. Oh, for my husband, for my dear Lord Edward.
For our father, for our dear Lord Clarence.
Alas for both mine, Edward and Clarence.
Say had I but Edward, and he's gone.
What stay had we but Clarence, and he's gone.
What stays had I but they, and they are gone.
Was never widow had so dear a loss.
For never orphans had so dear a loss.
For mother had so dear a loss. Alas, I am the mother of these griefs. Their woes are parcelled, mine in general. She for an Edward weeps, and so do I. I for a Clarence weep, so doth not she. These babes for Clarence weep, and so do I. I for an Edward weep, so do not they. Alas, you 3 on me, threefold distressed. Pour all of your tears. I am your sorrow's nurse, and I will pamper it with lamentation.
Comfort, dear mother. God is much displeased that you take with unthankfulness his doing. In common worldly things, 'tis called ungrateful, with dull unwillingness to repay a debt, which with bounteous hand was kindly lent. Much more to be thus opposite with heaven, for it requires the royal debt it lent you.
Madam, bethink you like a careful mother of the young prince, your son. Send straight for him. Let him be crowned. In him your comfort lives. Drown desperate sorrow in dead Edward's grave, and plant your joys in living Edward's throne.
Sister, have comfort. All of us have cause to wail the dimming of our shining star, but none can help our harms by wailing them. Oh, madam, my mother, I do cry you mercy. I did not see your grace. Humbly, on my knee, I crave your blessing.
God bless thee, and put meekness in thy breast, love, charity, obedience, and true duty.
Amen. And make me die a good old man. That's the butt end of a mother's blessing. I marvel that her grace did leave it out.
Cloudy princes and heart-sorrowing peers, that bear this heavy mutual load of moan, now cheer each other in each other's love. Though we have spent our harvest of this king, we are to reap the harvest of his son. The broken rancor of your high-swollen hates, but lately splintered, knit, and joined together, must gently be preserved, cherished, and kept. Meseemeth good that with some little train forthwith from Ludlow, the young prince be fet hither to London to be crowned our king.
Why, with some little train, my lord of Buckingham?
Marry, my lord, lest by a multitude the new healed wound of malice should break out, which would be so much the more dangerous by how much the estate is green and yet ungoverned. where every horse bears his commanding rein, and may direct his course as please himself, as well the fear of harm as harm apparent, in my opinion, ought to be prevented.
I hope the king made peace with all of us, and the compact is firm and true in me.
And so in me, and so I think in all. Yet, since it is but green, it should be put to no apparent likelihood of breach, which haply by much company might be urged. Therefore I say with noble Buckingham that it is meet so few should fetch the prince.
So say I.
Then be it so, and go we to determine who they shall be that straight shall post to Ludlow. Madam, and you, my sister, will you go to give your censures in this business?
My lord, whoever journeys to the prince, for God's sake, let us two stay at home. For by the way, I'll sort occasion, as index to the story we late talked of, to part the queen's proud kindred from the prince.
Oh, my other self, my council's consistory, my oracle, my prophet, my dear cousin. I, as a child, will go by thy direction. Toward Ludlow, then, for we'll not stay behind.
Good morrow, neighbor. Whither away so fast?
I promise you I scarcely know myself. Have you heard the news abroad?
Yes, that the king is dead.
Ill news, by'r lady, seldom comes the better. I fear 'twill prove a giddy world.
Neighbors, Godspeed.
Give you good morrow, sir.
Does the news hold of good King Edward's death?
Aye, sir, 'tis too true. God help the while.
Then masters look to see a troublous world.
Oh, no. By God's good grace, his son shall reign.
Woe to that land that's governed by a child.
Him there is a hope of government, which in his menage counsel under him, and in his full and ripened years himself, no doubt till then, and govern well.
So stood the state when Henry VI was crowned in Paris, but at 9 months old.
Did the state so? No, good friends, God wot. For then this land was famously enriched with politic grave counsel. Then the king had virtuous uncles to protect his grace.
Why, so hath this, both by his father and his mother.
Better it were they all come by his father, or by his father there were none at all. For emulation, who shall now be nearest will touch us all too near, if God prevent not. Oh, full of danger is the Duke of Gloucester, and the Queen's sons and brothers, hot and proud. And there they will be ruled, and not to rule, this sickly land might solace as before.
Oh, come, we fear the worst. All will be well.
When the clouds are seen, wise men put on their cloaks. Great leaves fall, then winter is at hand. When the sun sets, it doth not look for night. Untimely storms make men expect a dearth. All may be well, but if God sorted so, 'tis more than we deserve, or I expect.
Truly the hearts of men are full of fear. You cannot reason almost with a man that looks not heavily and full of dread.
Before the days of change, still is it so. By a divine instinct, men's minds mistrust ensuing danger, as by proof we see the water swell before a boisterous storm. But leave it all to God. Whither away?
Marry, we were sent for to the justices.
And so was I. I'll bear you company.
Last night, I hear they lay at Stony Stratford, and at Northampton they do rest tonight. Tomorrow or the next day, they will be here.
I long with all my heart to see the prince. I hope he is much grown since last I saw him.
I hear no. They say my son of York has almost o'ertaken him on his growth.
Aye, mother, but I would not have it so.
Why, my good cousin, it is good to grow.
Grandam, one night as we did sit at supper, my uncle Rivers talked how I did grow more than my brother. Aye, quoth my uncle Gloucester, small herbs have grace, great weeds do grow apace. And since methinks I would not grow so fast, because sweet flowers are slow, and weeds make haste.
Good faith, the saying did not hold in him that did object the same to thee. He was the wretched's thing when he was young, so long a-growing and so leisurely, that if his rule were true, he should be gracious.
And so no doubt he is, my gracious madam.
I hope he is, but yet let mothers doubt.
Now, by my troth, if I had been remembered, I could have given my uncle's grace a flout to touch his growth nearer than he touched mine.
How, my young York? I prithee, let me hear it.
Mary, they say my uncle grew so fast that he could gnaw a crust at 2 hours old. 'Twas full 2 years ere I could get a tooth. Grandam, this would have been a biting jest.
I prithee, pretty York, who told thee this?
Grandam, his nurse.
His nurse? Why, she was dead ere thou wast born.
If 'twere not she, I cannot tell who told me.
A parlous boy. Go to, you are too shrewd.
Good madam, be not angry with the child.
Bitches have ears.
Here comes a messenger. What news?
Such news, my lord, as grieves me to report.
How doth the prince?
Well, madam, and in health.
What is thy news?
Lord Rivers and Lord Grey are sent to Pomfort, and with them Sir Thomas Fagin and prisoners.
Who hath committed them?
The mighty Dukes, Gloucester, and Buckingham.
For what offense?
The sum of all I have disclosed. Why or for what the nobles are committed is all unknown to me, my gracious lord.
Oh, I see the ruin of my house. The tiger now has seized the gentle hand. Insulting tyranny begins to jut upon the innocent and aweless throne. Welcome destruction, blood, and massacre. I see as in a map the end of all.
Cursed and unquiet rankling days, how many of you have mine eyes beheld? My husband lost his life to get the crown, and often up and down my sons were tossed, for me to joy and weep their gain and loss, and being seated and domestic broils, clean overblown themselves the conquerors make war upon themselves, brother to brother, blood to blood, self against self. Oh, preposterous and frantic outrage in thy damned spleen, or let me die to look on earth no more.
Come, come, my boy. We will to sanctuary. Madam, farewell.
Stay, I will go with you.
You have no cause.
My gracious lady, go, and thither bear your treasure and your goods. For my part, I'll resign unto your grace the seal I keep, and so betide to me as well I tender to you and all of yours. Go, I'll conduct you to the sanctuary.
Welcome, sweet prince, to London, to your chamber.
Welcome, dear cousin, my thoughts sovereign. The weary way hath made you melancholy. I would I heard you better.
Okay. No, uncle, but our crosses on the way have made it tedious, wearisome, and heavy. I want more uncles here to welcome me.
Sweet prince, the untainted virtue of your years has not yet dived into the world's deceit. No more can you distinguish of a man than of his outward show, which, God he knows, seldom or never jumpeth with the heart. Those uncles which you want were dangerous. Your grace attended to their sugared words, but looked not on the poison of their hearts. God keep you from them, and from such false friends.
God keep me from false friends, but they were none.
My lord, the Mayor of London comes to greet you.
God bless your grace with health and happy days.
I thank you, good my lord, and thank you all. I thought my mother and my brother York would long ere have met us on the way. Fie, what a slug is Hastings that he comes not to tell us whether they will come or no.
Ah, and in good time. Here comes the sweating lord.
Welcome, my lord. What, will our mother come?
On what occasion God he knows, not I. The queen your mother and your brother York have taken sanctuary. The tender prince would fain have come with me to meet your grace, but by his mother was perforce withheld.
Fie, what an indirect and peevish course is this of hers. Lord Cardinal, will your grace persuade the queen to send the Duke of York unto his princely brother presently? If she deny, Lord Hastings, go with him, and from her jealous arms pluck him perforce.
My lord of Buckingham, if my weak oratory can from his mother win the Duke of York, anon expect him here. But if she be your subordinate to mild entreaties, God in heaven forbid we should infringe the holy privilege of blessed sanctuary. None for all this land would I be guilty of so deep a sin.
You are too senseless, obstinate, my lord, too ceremonious and traditional. Weigh it but with the grossness of this age. You break not sanctuary in seizing him. The benefit thereof is always granted to those whose dealings have deserved the place and those who have the wit to claim the place. This prince hath neither claimed it nor deserved it, and therefore, in mine opinion, cannot have it. Then taking him from thence that is not there, you break no privilege nor charter there. Oft I have heard of sanctuary men, but sanctuary children? Never till now.
My lord, you shall all rule my mind for once. Come on, Lord Hastings, will you go with me?
I go, my lord.
Good lords, make all the speedy haste you may. Say, Uncle Gloucester, if our brother come, where shall we sojourn till our coronation?
Well, where it seems best unto your royal self. If I may counsel you, some day or two your highness shall repose you at the Tower, then where you please, and shall be thought most fit for your best health and recreation.
I do not like the Tower of any place. Did Julius Caesar build that place, my lord?
He did, my gracious lord, begin that place, which since succeeding ages have re-edified.
Is it upon record, or else reported successively from age to age he built it?
Upon record, my gracious lord.
But say, my lord, it were not registered, methinks the truth should live from age to age, as 'twere retailed to all posterity, even to the general all-ending day.
So wise, so young, they say, do never live long.
What say you, uncle?
I say, without characters, fame lives long. Thus, like the formal vice iniquity, I moralize two meanings in one word.
That Julius Caesar was a famous man. With what his valor did enrich his wit sat down to make his valor live. Death makes no conquest of this conqueror, for now he lives in fame, though not in life. I'll tell you what, my cousin Buckingham.
What, my gracious lord?
And if I live till I be a man, I'll win our ancient right in France again, or die a soldier as I live to king.
Short summers likely have a forward spring.
Now in good time, here comes the Duke of York.
Richard of York, how fares our loving brother?
Well, my dread lord, so must I call you now.
Ay, brother, to our grief, as it is yours. Too late he died that might have kept that title, which by his death hath lost much majesty.
How fares our cousin, noble Lord of York?
I thank you, gentle uncle. Oh, my lord, you said that idle weeds are fast in growth. The prince, my brother, hath outgrown me far.
He hath, my lord.
And therefore is he idle?
Oh, my fair cousin, I must not say so.
Then he is more beholding to you than I.
He may command me as my sovereign, but you have power in me, as in a kinsman.
I pray you, uncle, give me this dagger.
My dagger, little cousin? With all my heart.
A beggar, brother?
Of my kind uncle, that I know will give, and being but a toy, which is no grief to give.
A greater gift than that I'll give my cousin.
A greater gift? Oh, that's the sword to it.
Aye, gentle cousin, were it light enough.
Oh, then I see you will part but with light gifts. In weightier things you'll say a beggar nay.
It is too heavy for your grace to wear.
I weigh it lightly, were it heavier.
What? Would you have my weapon, little lord?
I would, that I might thank you as you call me.
How?
Little.
My lord of York will still be cross in talk. Uncle, your grace knows how to bear with him.
You mean to bear me, not to bear with me. Uncle, my brother mocks both you and me because that I am little, like an ape. He thinks that you should bear me on your shoulders.
What a sharp provided wit he reasons, to mitigate the scorn he gives his uncle. He prettily and aptly taunts himself. So cunning and so young is wonderful.
My lord, wilt please you pass along? Myself and my good cousin Buckingham will to your mother, to entreat of her to meet you at the tower, and welcome you.
What? Will you go into the tower, my lord?
My lord protector needs will have it so.
I shall not sleep in quiet at the tower.
Why? What should you fear?
Marry, my uncle Clarence's angry ghost. My granddam told me he was murdered there.
I fear no uncles dead.
Nor none that live, I hope.
And if they live, I hope I need not fear. But come, my lord, with a heavy heart, thinking on them go I unto the tower.
Think you, my lord, this little prating York was not incensed by his subtle mother to taunt and scorn you thus opprobriously?
No doubt, no doubt. Oh, 'tis a parlous boy. Bold, quick, ingenious, forward, capable, and he is all the mother's from top to toe.
Well, let them rest. Come hither, Catesby. Thou art sworn as deeply to effect what we intend as closely to conceal what we impart. Thou knowest our reasons urged upon the way. What thinkest thou? Is it not an easy matter to make William Lord Hastings of our mind for the installment of this noble duke in the seat royal of this famous isle?
He for his father's sake so loves the prince that he will not be won to aught against him.
What thinkest thou then of Stanley? Will not he?
He will do all in all as Hastings doth.
Well, then, no more but this. Go, gentle Catesby, and as it were far off, sound thou Lord Hastings how he doth stand affected to our purpose, and summon him tomorrow to the tower to sit about the coronation. If thou dost find him tractable to us, encourage him and tell him all our reasons. If he be leaden, icy, cold, unwilling, be thou so too, and so break off the talk, and give us notice of his inclination. For we tomorrow hold divided councils, wherein thyself shalt highly be employed.
Commend me to Lord William. Tell him, Catesby, his ancient knot of dangerous adversaries tomorrow are let blood at Pomfret Castle, and bid my lord, for joy of this good news, give Mistress Shaw one gentle kiss the more.
Good Catesby, go effect this business soundly.
My lords both, my good lords both, with all the heed I can.
Shall we hear from you, Catesby, ere we sleep?
Shall, my lord.
At Crosby House. There shall you find us both.
Now, my lord, what shall we do if we perceive Lord Hastings will not yield to our complots?
Chop off his head. Oh, no, something we will determine. And look, when I am king, claim thou of me the earldom of Hereford, and all the movables whereof the king my brother was possessed.
I'll claim that promise at your grace's hand.
And look to have it yielded with all kindness. Come, let us sup betimes, and afterwards we may digest our complots in some form.